Fox 10 Gulfstream. This is Next Weather.
All right, here's what we're seeing with our situation with rainfall today. We got a lot of rain in parts of Mobile County, some heavy rain in town too. A little gap in it here, northern Mobile County and southern Washington County as of evening time. Also Baldwin County a bit spotty, but we keep getting these scattered storms around, and we're gradually putting a little dent in the drought conditions across the area. And you can see the winters today, Wilmer and Sim, some spots over 2.5 inches of rainfall. All right, Hurricane Lee is out in the Atlantic, and meteorologist Nicholas Herboso is going to have a complete breakdown on this unique system. Super large wind field with Lee. We're also looking at Margot in the Atlantic too, and another feature behind Margot. Let's look at everything out there. So we've got a wave feature here that is now in a low pressure area. That's likely going to become Nigel. Then we have Margot and then monstrous Lee. All three systems not expected to come in the Gulf of Mexico, and they will be Atlantic systems. All right, our drought situation, we are in, and this just got updated today, an extreme drought over Mobile County, George County, and Jackson County. It's been abnormally dry, and we've had very high temperatures, so we've had a very high evaporation rate, and we've been vulnerable to drought. And we definitely have severe drought conditions as well in areas in orange, and then most of the areas in some form of a drought. But we are getting some beneficial rains. That'll continue this evening through about 8 p.m., and then we should see things get quiet overnight. Tomorrow we will see more scattered showers and storms, and we'll see it again on Saturday too. So we'll have some opportunities to do some catching up with our rainfall deficit throughout the area, both Friday and Saturday and even Sunday this weekend. We're not going to get rain everywhere every day, but eventually I think everybody gets what they need. And looking at our rain chances, 50% on Friday and Saturday, 40% on Sunday. Temperatures around 90 for a daytime high. Overnight lows in the 70s. So we've got still near normal overnight temperatures, which is good. Not as bad as oppressive August was, but we are looking at temperatures that are still above average for our daytime highs. It's been nice to get some rain around the Gulf Coast, but more is needed. Of course, you saw that drought graphic there. Meteorologist Michael White lets us know if time is running out on decent rain chances.
Thanks, Jason. I'm hoping a lot of you saw beneficial rain this week. I know many spots got a really good soaking of rain on Tuesday. More of you saw rain on Wednesday, but it wasn't enough. We really didn't see the rain lasting a very long time. And remember, drought conditions on the Gulf Coast are still really bad. In Mobile alone, the rain deficits are over half a foot. Drought conditions are not improving, and we've still got opportunities through the weekend. But once we get to next week, we're expecting drier weather to take over. Let's take a peek at what we've seen so far rain totals wise. Now, this does not factor in any rain that we might have seen today, but it does factor in the rain that we picked up on Tuesday and the rain we picked up on Wednesday. Where you see black, those are the dead spots, the spots that did not pick up any rain. Gulf Shores to Foley, pretty much dry. That little southern end of Baldwin County. A little section around McDavid, around Florida, no rain. A little section south of Atmore, no rain. West Mobile near the regional airport and around Sims, no rain. But Midtown, downtown, a significant amount of rain. Look how much rain fell right by the causeway. Those totals are extremely impressive. We'll zoom in a little bit tighter toward that. We have the purples and the blues. Those are rainfall totals of about 3 to 3.5 inches. About 1 inch of rain around Spanish Fort, Daphne, Fairhope Point clear. Significant rain totals around Theodore, Tillman's Corner, Bila Battery. That eastern end of Mobile County got really high rain totals of about 3 to 4 inches. Pensacola, about 3 to 4 inches of rain. A lot of rain up between Beulah and Molino and Cantonment. But again, you go just north of that around Bratt, Florida, hardly a drop of rain. So it really was dependent on where you were. But there's that West Mobile area, and it was just pretty much dead as far as rainfall. That's unfortunate. But more chances are going to come in this weekend. Here's a look at the latest QPF. Now, this takes us through next Wednesday, but because we're projecting very little rain opportunity for next week, this pretty much only really goes through the weekend. And you can see the rainfall totals for our area are only estimated to be 0.5 inch to 1 inch. Now, some of you more than that, some of you less than that. but hopefully your area will get rain. And it looks like the farther inland you go, the drier things are going to be. The closer to the coast, the wetter things are going to be. But hopefully you'll get some much needed showers and storms as we get ready to approach the weekend. Now, it has been very hot. It hadn't been as hot as August, but September's been really brutal to us. We saw mid-90s for a high temperature Wednesday and a mid-90s for a high temperature Tuesday. Thankfully, based on the temperature projections, now this isn't exactly what we're going with in our forecast, but this is a blend of all the model data, projected temperatures all the way through a week from Saturday, and you can see we will not see mid-90s. Highs should be at or just over 90, which is still above average, but at least it's not as bad. And although we're not getting fall air in here with mornings back in the 50s, we at least see them back in the upper 60s, which means the air will at least be less humid for next week. That'll also help to keep us a bit rain-free. So we've got a couple more opportunities for rain, but let's be honest, we need a lot more rain. A tropical system would help, but we obviously don't want the other hazards that would come with that. So we'll pass on tropical trouble. We just need a good soaking of rain that lasts almost the entire day. We know sooner or later we'll get it. We've had gloomy, wet days on the Gulf Coast plenty of times, and we're likely to see them as we officially head into fall and into the winter season. Well, we'll be keeping you up to date on rain chances throughout the next several days. I will be with you on your Friday edition of Good Day Gulf Coast. We'll be talking high school football. Some big matches will be coming up. I'll have the latest on those forecasts as well, all coming up bright and early tomorrow morning. Jason?
Well, Michael, we're also tracking Hurricane Lee in the Atlantic, and for more on the possibilities of the U.S. impacts, yes, it could affect the United States. Here's meteorologist Nicholas Herboso.
Yeah, so here's a current look at Hurricane Lee. It's an 85-mile-per-hour Category 1 hurricane. We saw a little sneak peek of it earlier with Jason. Now I want to dive into some of the possible impacts for us. I want to start off with this, the 3D satellite, and you can see here that it is looking a little bit less active in terms of thunderstorms. You see a lack of thunderstorms, especially on the southern side of the storms. You see the bright colors on the northern side. Those have begun to fade just a little bit. Some dry air getting into the system. Taking a look at it on water vapor, you see all the brown to the south. That's a little bit of dry air. Also, you may notice how large the system looks. You have the areas of green indicating moisture. That's somewhere the rainfall is. That's where the clouds are. But you notice how it's spreading out, especially to the north. A little bit of wind shear with this storm as it moves to the north. So big, large area of impacts is going to be the real story for this thing. So here's a look at the forecast path for Hurricane Lee. By Saturday at 3 p.m., we're pretty much making a landfall. So Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening in Nova Scotia. Zooming in. Now, don't just focus on this center line, because there will be impacts outside of this cone just because of how large this system is. In fact, putting the wind field here on the forecast track, this is from the National Hurricane Center, anywhere you see in yellow, that is tropical storm force winds. So you see Cape Cod. Also, pretty much from Portland, Maine off to the east, at least at 8 o'clock, 8 in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern time on the east coast of the United States here in the coastal Maine, coastal Massachusetts, you have those impacts of tropical storm force winds. Taking a zoom in, landfall sometime in the afternoon on Saturday in Nova Scotia there, and you can see that 58-mile-per-hour wind area. That's just near Nova Scotia, and then parts of Maine dealing with tropical storm force winds throughout the day on Saturday before this thing moves through the Canadian Maritimes and kind of gets out to sea. Another look at this is with our wind forecast. This is with the GFS forecast model. So early in the morning on Saturday, you can see Yarmouth in Nova Scotia dealing with 37-mile-per-hour winds, Portland, Maine at 23-mile-per-hour winds. And as we head to the afternoon hours, 45 there in Nova Scotia. Halifax also getting winds. A lot of onshore flow in Nova Scotia, especially along that southeastern coast. So they will be dealing with coastal flooding issues. Coastal flooding issues also for Maine all the way down to Cape Cod there. And then eventually the storm does exit. That's Lee, and that's going to be the main story. A little bit of wind impact and some coastal flooding there. Have another area coming behind it that we will be, of course, tracking for you here. Margot about to go out to sea. That's your update on the tropics. Jason?
All right, always keeping an eye on the tropics here on Fox 10 News. And this is what we're seeing over the next 7 days. Temperatures running at around 90 for our daytime highs. That's a couple of degrees above normal, but the overnight lows trending closer to average. And we'll be a little drier with the air next week, as Michael was telling you about. We still have some opportunities for some beneficial rain through Sunday this weekend in your extended forecast.